Hey everyone, Jason Hitchings here with Adept Defense and welcome back to the channel. So I just got back from the range today. It was like 50 degrees, a little over 50 degrees and sunny here in northern Michigan. It has been cold, very, very cold for the last month. So end of February, nice weather, take advantage of it, get to the range, right? So I picked up this Holosun 507K, pop that round out, clear this out. All right, so this is one of my carry guns. SIG P365XL. I've got a review on this gun. I've really enjoyed carrying this gun for about the last year, on and off. You know, this has kind of been my summer months, just under a t-shirt type of carry gun. Comes with iron sights, but it is red dot ready. So it has a pre-cut for a red dot in the back with a plate over it. So remove the plate, remove the iron sight, which is part of the plate, kind of a two-piece design. And this Holosun 507K, which is the new miniaturized red dot from Holosun, is a direct fit to this gun, right? So no adapter plate or anything required. So I picked one of these up from Big Tex Outdoors. Fast shipping, great service. I highly recommend Big Tex Outdoors for just about any of your firearm needs. Ike's an awesome dude there, and he's a shooter and he cares a lot about his product and his customers. So anyway, I've had this mounted up for a couple weeks now. Finally got to go to the range and actually put in some time on this. Got a pretty precise zero on it. It took me about 25 rounds to get this thing zeroed. It was fairly close, just bolting it right on there. And then I loaded up my next mag and started to shoot, and about 3 rounds in, my dot went away. So I'm like, great, you know, it's failed already, right? So this optic comes with a battery pre-installed from Holosun. I've got quite a bit of experience on the Trijicon RMRs, and if you're familiar with those, you know that the Type 1, they had some battery contact issues in those. Sometimes under recoil, you lose the dot, and then you pull the trigger again, and the recoil impulse would make the dot come back on. So I thought, well, I lost the dot, so it'll be a good time to figure out how these backup iron sights work with this setup, because like I said, when you remove the cover plate from the slide of a 365XL, you lose your rear sight. But Holosun has, let me not point this at me, but they have an integrated rear sight into the body of the optic itself, which does really low, like a maybe 1/5 co-witness inside of this. So it retains your factory front sight and then integrates the rear sight notch into the body of the optic. So I thought, good opportunity to see what the point of aim, point of impact is with these backup irons. So I was at about 10 yards on a TA Targets dueling tree, which has 6 6-inch square paddles down the dueling tree. And at that distance, if I had my correct sight alignment with equal height and equal light, if I put the center of the front dot on the front sight at my desired point of impact, I would be shooting high, right? So I figured that out relatively quickly. And then I figured out that if I do correct sight alignment with the equal height, equal light, if I use the tip of that front sight post, I would get my desired point of impact. So that was kind of some good data to get because of my dot failure, right? It's always good to confirm where your point of impact is with your backup irons, which is something that a lot of people with red dot guns kind of fail to do because you're so reliant on that red dot and that's all you're focused on. You kind of forget about the backup irons being there. So that was kind of a nice little piece of data to gather. If this dot ever fails, you know, when you really need it, I can transition to those backup irons and I know where my point of aim has to be to get the desired point of impact. Now, with the dot going down, I did have a spare battery with me in my range bag. So these take a 1632 battery, a little bit smaller than what we're used to with our RMRs and whatnot. So side loading battery, which is nice. I didn't have to take the optic off the slide. Slid the tray out, swapped out that battery, put a fresh battery in it. The dot turned back on, and I shot 100 rounds after that without any issue whatsoever. So kind of the lesson of this video is don't trust the batteries that come pre-installed in these optics, right? Because we don't know how long those batteries have been on the shelf. We don't know how long these optics have been on the shelf. We all know that the Holosun is a Chinese made brand, right? So who knows what batteries they're putting into these. So for me, I have always used and trusted Duracell batteries in all of my red dot optics. And that kind of came as a recommendation from both Scott Jedlinski of Modern Samurai Project and Aaron Cowan from Sage Dynamics. They say that the Duracell batteries actually have a more consistent outer dimensions than the Energizer does. I used Energizer in my RMRs for a couple years and had a couple issues with a couple of the batteries, and maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was some inconsistent outside dimensions to where I had some contact issues, and that could have been the issue with the battery that was in this. I don't know, but put a Duracell in it. It turned right back on, ran 100 rounds without issue. So I'm starting to get some time behind this optic. So far, I really like it, right? So it kind of made my heart sink a little bit when I lost the dot at first, but simple fix, new battery, held zero. You know, I was able to, just freestanding, put about a 2-inch group consistently at 10 yards on paper with this. It is a smaller window than like what I'm used to, obviously, with my SRO, which has that big round window. But this gun is really, really manageable, and even for being a subcompact, very small gun, very thin gun, it shoots and it feels more like a compact, right? Like I shoot this gun just as well as I shoot any of my Glock 19s, which says a lot for this gun. This gun has a good trigger, good dimensions, good size, good recoil impulse, and it's fairly balanced. So even with that smaller optical window, I don't lose the dot, right? So still able to maintain good recoil control and track that dot under recoil. And I was able to turn all 6 of those plates consistently back and forth on that dueling tree, with good recoil control. Every time that dot would settle, press off that next round, and I would get a hit consistently. So I'm a big fan of this gun, and paired with a red dot on it now, I'm an even bigger fan of this gun now. So I'm going to continue to run this gun before I really fully trust the setup, right, for carry. Still carrying my Zev Z320 with the SRO. I really like that combination, but come this summer, I may want a smaller gun for just under a t-shirt type of concealment. So that's definitely a good go-to for that situation. So I'm going to continue to put rounds through it. But anything that I'm testing, I always want to give you guys updates when anything does happen. So I kind of felt like this was a noteworthy thing to point out. So don't trust the batteries that come in your optics. Run Duracells. And so far, good experience with the Holosun optics. Haven't had any of them that have failed on me, even though I thought I was having my first failure today. Turns out it wasn't. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comment section. I'm Jason Hitchings with Adept Defense. Seek training, become adept.